wanted to make paintings, always wanted to make paintings, even when I was doing them. Always thought, oh God, when am I going to get on and make some paintings? So they were made on a board like that, which was prepared for painting. And then I would cut these shapes out, place them against the board, stick them to the board, and then paint black over the top of the shape, and then put newsprint on the top and take that off, and then put a piece of white paper on the top. So they're really just a kind of, they're a print of a collage. And then with the movements down, that's just made by me kind of moving my hands down the white sheet.
Can I just ask everybody here, how many of you have made monoprints? I just want to get an idea of feeling who's here. Okay, that's useful. So all the rest of them?
Yeah.
Can we talk about these today?
These four here. I think there was a break here when I was doing teaching, like you have to do whatever, and then I started to get a bit frustrated with this kind of central image that I was getting a lot, and so I started thinking about how I could, instead of formally composing an image, if I could set up a procedure of drawing that would create its own composition. So what I mean is I would have certain rules where I would cross to here, cross to there, and I would always be going to the other side and trying to form images within by just a set of a logical procedure. And then I moved from that because something else interesting started to happen, which probably informs all the work left really. It's this kind of thing where, because of these lines that have formed stars here behind, which seemed to me like you've got this thick line above and then this star in the background, and I was kind of seeing these black lines as, and then I started to think about that cliched Oscar Wilde thing about like staying in the gutter to look at the stars, and that kind of played on my mind a lot, and I was thinking about that a lot, and would be able to be here with these gutters but look through to these kind of star forms. And so then I started focusing on these star forms to make compositions. So these are all made based on star forms, and the same with this one. Originally was made as a star, and then looking through that. But then I maybe kind of fell into this idea of having a formal foreground and background by putting these forms here. But I think what this gave me was, it started again that interesting perspective about being able to look up to something, and that was an interest that's kind of followed on. And also an interest is this idea of cutting something quite solid, having a form that's quite solid, but being able to cut it. Going on, talking about it. But these are kind of the first time that I thought about this idea of a canopy, again because thinking about a physical canopy and also things like canopies of stars, and again playing these, thinking about words and being able to get something quite physical, like something quite object-like, but being able to see through it. Pretty much the same as this really, but being able to again get something quite physical, but be able to see through into what I saw as a sky, and then be able to contain something quite physical, which is what I'm interested in really, is that this idea of the ephemeral, this idea of that's why it was useful, this gutters and stars thing. It was just something to log on, be able to sort of hold on to, because that kind of ephemeral idea of the stars and looking away from the everyday I'm interested in, but often when you see painting like that, it tends to be kind of sort of Turner-esque, abstract, kind of quite floaty, and that's okay, and I wanted a bit of that, but I wanted it to somehow hold it in the everyday as well. To me that's kind of like the perfect combination, if you can hold that ephemerality in something quite structured.
I think that was a point that I got quite confused about these paintings, because these paintings seem so opposite from that kind of ephemeral kind of quality, and yet from our talk it sounded like Ed wanted to develop these drawings into paintings that were quite similar. And these were the beginnings of that.
These are the really raw, these are kind of restate things that I thought would be quite interesting to bring in, just so I can see the kind of how crude they are when I first do them, because you can see how this image here is a print of that, but these are obviously very physical things, and the material is the problem with these is when I look at them, all I see is plaster, and I want, in an ideal situation, what I want to do eventually, what I have done before, is create these very physical things, but they get subsumed, the physicality of them. And it's only now I'm thinking, oh, that's quite interesting. And so it's not like I don't consider them finished things. Certain things I certainly wouldn't consider, but there's other things that perhaps I would, but they lacked. I think the thing was I was getting involved in formal things, but I think that has to have more, if you're going to do that, it has to go one way or the other. It has to have a kind of mathematical rigour, or it has to be something else. And I felt I was falling in between two stalls with some of it. And also I felt, we'll get on to maybe in a minute, but I felt like I was playing formal games, which could have gone on forever, and I didn't really feel like that was getting me anywhere. And we're talking about finishing the work, and I do believe there's a kind of, with painting, there's a sense that you can bring it to a completion point. That these open up options, and they just continue to open up options. And I was sick of that, really. But I mean, I don't mean to sound, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of useful things that happened in these that I can bring back into the painting, and they've got strengths that those haven't got.
I suppose I'm quite interested in the idea of things just going on and just slight alterations and not that finishing point and so on. But it'd be quite interesting to talk about these paintings, I think, because I don't know how people read them. It would be interesting to hear from you what you actually see, you know, because when I started talking about them, my view of them changed completely. I mean, is anybody willing to say something about what they actually...
One is the crude house form,
shape
with sky and
how I read it. But I mean, how does it change when somebody says it's a canoe?
That's okay, you shift your viewpoint 90
but
degrees.
that's quite exciting, isn't it?
Well, I've just been doing inverse critique all day with third year, so I'm kind of in fresh mode to come in and say, yes, I'll tell you what I see. So what I see is very architectural kind of response, but it's very fascinating to hear Ed talk about this sort of organic growth within the work. It's almost as though you're talking about it being live, and it's just you've got to grab it and contain it. But I see these very much as finished because they have colour. They're very formal. You could say that they're wood blocks, you get a monoprint from them. So it's kind of interesting how you keep your process open. It's an organic process, and at some point you must have painted them to right they're finished.
Yeah.
But I see them as an architectural response, but equally, yes, it could be a 90-degree shifted view of the bow of a canoe, or the tail end of the canoe. And I kind of enjoy the 180-degree shift in the colour between the two as a pair. I think it links as a pair, but I'm reading them in a very architectural way. And I was kind of enjoying what Helen was saying about this sort of X-ray quality that's in the work that must come from the positive, negative nature of dealing with print. And I think these pieces work incredibly well with these because you start to reveal the process, but the process is not conclusive. It's in a state of osmosis, which is quite fascinating. That's how I see it.
I think the other thing that you said about these paintings that was curious for me is that, you should maybe explain it. I mean, the red painting, how do you see that? I mean, where are you, how are you hoping people see it?
With both of them, really, I saw, even though the wood is sitting on the top, I was almost seeing those kind of, I was playing architectural game, you know, thinking about architecture as them being structures, but again thinking about them being structures you could see through. So seeing them as, yes, as forms, but also as windows. So as buildings, but also as windows, and like portholes to something, and dealing with, yeah, I mean, trying to make something very physical that also has a far away look as well. So although it's thrown towards you, you're also looking through it.